Well, hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is, excuse me, my name is Larry Duncan Allen, and this is No More Water. Fire next time. I really appreciate you tuning in tonight. Probably noticed my title is concerning the word woke. As you know, woke among black people has been around for a long time. We've been using that phrase for a long time. It's just new for them folks. Because, as you know, woke among us just meant being aware of um, history and your culture. About what's happened to with your people. But many of the Afrocentric people would say being aware of your African heritage. But with most black people, being woke just meant being aware of what has really happened with your people and not what others are telling you. But they have all type of phrases and excuses for it. And then after I play you a couple of videos, I'll tell you why the whole woke movement started. They didn't know. And see, woke has been around for us for as long as we can remember. It's new to them, not to us. Now, I'm going to play a video for you. There's this white guy who tries his pathetic way of explaining woke. Listen to this.
You've probably seen people debating in a comment section calling a movie woke, and then the other guy saying define woke. Okay, I will. Woke used to mean being alert to racism, but today it's applied to an ideology that divides society by identity. Race, gender, sexuality, just like Marxism divided people by class. Woke came from African American vernacular English and simply meant being awake or aware, especially to racial injustice. In the 2010s, during the rise of BLM and social justice movements, woke became mainstream slang for being socially conscious. This broader social awareness turned into institutional activism, DEI programs, corporate virtue signaling, identity-based hiring, cancel culture, etc. Critics began using woke sarcastically to describe the leftist overreach of performative progressivism. So when someone says something is woke, they usually mean it's pushing modern identity politics, race, gender, sexuality, in a way that feels forced and ideological. I don't really care if you agree with either side in this scenario. I'm Tony, and I'm just trying to help us find common ground again. Follow for more.
Now, you know how ridiculous that was? Yeah, he doesn't have a clue. With black people, woke has nothing to do with being aware of racism. We're aware of that anyway. It's being knowing, not forgetting your people. Where you come from and what's going on with your people, your culture and all. Well, I don't know about culture because we really don't even have that. But many people say we do, but we don't. And I'll explain that a little later. But he doesn't have a clue. There's one thing about those folks. What black people can explain to you, be woke. That means just be aware of what's going on. Don't be bamboozled and fooled or something about what people are telling you. That's all it meant to black folks. And then see how they batted out so much to it. See, one thing about those folks, when they get a hold of something, they taint it. They've taken it. What they do is they take it and turn it into a political ideology. See how they just included everybody. The black people don't care nothing about what some no DEI. Most black people, I hadn't even heard of DEI until uh, uh, Elon Musk and Doge came into play. And I'm pretty worried about a lot of things. But the thing is, we don't care about all this stuff. See, what their problem is, they think we care about what they care about. They include all that mess in there. We don't. We think about our people when we say woke. We're not thinking about them. I tell you where white people woke came in for other people. It was that during Black Lives Matter with George Floyd. Many white people had started looking into what was happening with black people. And they had started siding with black people, especially the let me cut this out. Good feedback, especially the young white people. Young white people was siding with black people. Their parents would maybe go to some Proud Boy or Klan meeting while their children is at the Black Lives Matter rally. Matter of fact, there wasn't that many black people involved in Black Lives Matter. It was mostly white people. Black people had stopped all their protesting back during Ferguson, but people just hadn't noticed. But what happened is they saw how white people was getting involved with black people. There was one lady. She was at the January 6th insurrection when they tried to do an overthrow of the U.S. government through a coup. She was the lady you saw the picture with all the blood on her face. She was turned in by her daughter. Her daughter put the picture up on social media, was laughing, and said, and she told me, don't go to a Black Lives Matter rally because it may get violent. There was another time in history when poor blacks and when poor whites and blacks started coming together right after Reconstruction, or right after slavery. And black people had the majority, a lot of the white people, they weren't citizens anymore for a while in North Carolina because of the Civil War, just after slavery. Black people became very powerful in North Carolina. They were state senators running the state house. Matter of fact, they started the Board of Education, the Education Department of Education. I'm sorry, the Department of Education. They saw that black people was getting so powerful, and poor whites were siding with them. That's when they started the Reconstruction period. The white plantation owners was given was they was given reparations for their slaves. Most of them was given their land back. They took land that black people had and gave it to poor whites to keep them separated. Anytime they saw white people, see the woke they talk about is not for us. It's for white people. But what they have to stop and look, and others, I guess. But what they have to stop and look at is the fact that why would want someone tell you to be asleep? Don't be woke. Don't learn. Something they don't want you to know. And many fail for it. So you see, it's not for us. It's for them. Because we've always known about woke, but it's an entirely different meaning for us than it is for them. They turn everything into a political ideology. And you go through a whole list of people. I'm going to play another video for you. Listen to this. Listen to this man.
Yo, 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 what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario. So in this video, I want to talk about what does it really mean to be woke? And they say, what does that even mean? Because you hear a lot on the internet, like people are like, oh, all these woke people, and they think about like, I don't know, like feminists and liberal people or whatever it is and all that other shit, right? But that's not really what being woke is about, right? We'll get into all of those labels in a second, but when you're awakened, that means that you're no longer asleep. So what you got to understand is that most people in society are asleep, right? And so therefore they're not woke because they're still sleeping, right? And the reason why they're asleep and they're not awakened is because to be woke means to be aware of who you actually are, to be aware of what this all actually means, right? So the thing is this, is that when you awaken, you realize that you are connected to everything. You understand what I'm saying? You realize you are everything, right? And so what that means is that the people who are asleep believe that they're separate from everything, right? Now, understand this. I remember I was listening to, I think it was Alan Watts. He talked about that, a clever person knows how to live on two different levels. And he's basically saying the material level, like the material world, and then the spiritual world, right? And so what happens is that in the material world, right? This is where we get all this separateness from, because we label ourselves certain things, black, white, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, American, African, Chinese, whatever.
Enough of that foolishness. I tell you. You know what his problem is? He's over inflating woke also. It's just a simple thing. Just people being aware of what's going on and what's happening. It don't take all of that. See how he's adding all that to it? See, some people want to sound so prolific until you just bring up add a whole lot of garbage to things. Look, what he's trying to do, he's trying to appeal to white people idea of woke. That's what he's trying to do. Trying to appeal to their idea of woke. Because if he was appealing to black people's idea of woke, it wouldn't take all of that. It has nothing to do with you looking on a spiritual plane and all of that. It just means being aware of what's going on. That's all it means. That you are aware. That's all it means. But they have to add all that other garbage to it. Some people just like him. He just want to sound prolific. That's all. He was adding all type of stuff to woke that has nothing to do with it. Because he's making some type of movement out of it. And it's not a movement, it's not a political ideology. It's just being aware of what's going on. Don't be sleep like they want white people and other people to be. I don't just say white people anymore because it's the others too. Because it's us and everybody else. That's just the way it is. But yeah, but they just overstating things. I got one more for you on woke. And I'm gonna move on to something because this is so ridiculous.
In light of the recent controversy surrounding the word woke, I thought I'd explain for everyone who doesn't have an understanding of the term and for those who think they know what it means. Now, in the most simplified terms, being woke means being awake. It means to be conscious or critical thinking. It's a term that describes someone who has awakened from the sleep of societal ignorance and social indoctrination. And yes, it is a term rooted in blackness. Now, the problem with the wokeness that we see today is in large part due to the people who wield that term without a fundamental understanding of its meaning. Another problem is that the term woke, which was used by the black community to describe the more liberationist or politically conscious folks among us, which by the way began as a more revered position, was co-opted by white liberals who used it as a placebo for their cognitive dissonance or white guilt. They believed that by becoming woke, they could cure themselves of the sins of their forefathers by excessively engaging in social justice efforts and boutique activism, which in their minds validated them as morally upright and honorable citizens. However, as more of these liberals and self-identified progressives began to identify as woke, they encountered real pushback from the true woke.
Enough of that. His first part was fine. When he's still trying to define woke with liberalism, the liberals didn't do that. It's the MAGA people and the conservative people who started talking about woke, trying to stop progressive white people who started siding with black people and started learning the true history of what happened to black people in this nation. And they wanted to put an end to that. So he has that part all backwards. Like I said, they're trying to be prolific. They're just trying to explain. I had to cut that because that's about 7 minutes long, and it gets worse. And see that all they have to do is just tell the truth. It's about being aware. Black people who are aware of history, our history of our people and what's going on. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with no liberalism and politics and none of that. They just make it They're just complicating it. That's all. Now, I have another video I want to show you from. If you remember, this is one white guy. What is he at? Did I put that up with him? He's trying to explain what black people have contributed. Nothing, and without white people, we wouldn't be able to do anything or get anywhere. I think I didn't load that one up. But I want to show you. You remember when Trump was describing about how the United States was the inventors of just about everything. We don't need anyone else. And he listed 10 very important inventions. But what he didn't realize was that all 10 inventions that he mentioned were black inventions. And I wish somebody could have checked him on that. Mr. President, don't you realize that each invention you mentioned was invented by a black person? But they're too chicken and scared to check him on anything. And listen to this.
In 14 years, from 1863 to 1877, look at the progress that black people made attempting to be free, Blacks made great strides achieving political offices, developing private businesses, even setting up dozens of all-black towns. In fact, about it, we had built 60 towns. But white terrorists targeted them for destruction. As in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the first bombs that ever fell in America or on American soil fell on Black Wall Street. Y'all remember Black Wall Street in Tulsa?
There was also bombs that fell on a black town called Olney, Oklahoma. That was actually in Tulsa. Those bombs was dropped by the sheriff department. In Olney, there was Olney, Oklahoma, which was a black town that was so prosperous they started building their own railroad. That town was actually bombed by U.S. military aircraft. They covered that up. See, what I just told you about the things I've been saying, that's woke for black people. We know about the history of black people. That's all it is. It's not all that more liberalism and all of that. There's nothing to do with all of that. They're just trying to sound prolific, that's all. But see, the thing about it is that of all the inventions that black people have made, this nation wouldn't have anything. Tell me this. There are black women, not just black men. Black women have made a lot of inventions. How many inventions has white women made? Women, not just white women, other women. When it comes to women, black women has made more inventions than any other women. Black men have made more inventions than others. Black people has made the most inventions in this nation. I'm talking about through history. If you look through history, just that a lot of the things people don't know was invented by blacks because they hide it. And that's why they want to hide it from history. They want to hide black progress from history. They just about erased us from the books. But the thing about it, we have black school districts in this nation. They can still teach what they want to teach. Have Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month. You don't have to stop teaching it because them other folks stopped teaching it. If you do, that's on you. You see, the 60 black towns was built, and all were destroyed. You see, how did they get away with that? How did they unalive all these black people and nothing was done about it? You want to know why? I tell you why. The same reason nothing was done about the people who unalived in Emmett Till, even though his unalivers stood on the courthouse step and boasted about what they had done to the sheriff. You know why? After the Reconstruction, when black people had taken over North Carolina so much, they had Reconstruction and started Jim Crow. We were now almost 100 years on Jim Crow. So um, Jim Crow didn't end until 1964. And under Jim Crow, a white person wasn't necessarily required to do time or to pay for unaliving a black person. All the way up to 1964. We didn't have what I guess what you could call a resemblance of freedom until 1964. Anyone in their 60s right now wasn't born with the full rights of a U.S. citizen. So it wasn't that long ago. And even now, everything we do is sabotage. It's still sabotage. Through legislation, systematic racism, it's still sabotage. I want you to listen to Isaac Hayes' son and what he has to say about.
There's a clip going around of Donald Trump talking about how great American innovation is. And everything that he named that America invented, it was a black person that invented it.
This is a nation that invented the light bulb, the telegraph, the television, the telephone, the computer chip, the smartphone, the GPS, the integrated circuit, and even the internet. Basically, we invented everything. What is left? We invented everything.
Bro, black people did all that. We innovate and create everything. And so it's just par for the course of what happens with black innovation. I'm big on protecting your IP, but a lot of times you're creating and you want to be creative. But I think this is just another version of what happens when black people make something. When it comes to rock and roll music, we've invented the ice cream scoop, ice cream, the alarm.
We did invent ice cream. Yeah, I found that out like a couple of
The alarm system, macaroni and cheese,
Plasma.
plasma, the hot comb. There's a list of so many inventions and creations by black people.
What is left? We invented everything.
Boy, if you don't.
Yeah. Hey, boy, if you don't, well, I don't know what he finished saying, but see, they don't want black history taught because they want to hide that. That's what they mean by woke, not being woke. Not for us, we already know that stuff. But well, some of our people may not. But some of us can still teach it to them. We can still teach it in our schools if we want to. But they don't want. They don't care about us knowing. They do not want white people to know. That's why they have this anti-woke agenda. When they get a hold of something, they complicate it so. Woke was not something black people just went around making an issue out of. It was just a state of being. It's an issue for them, not for us. And what they think about us, we don't care. Haven't they noticed that we don't care about what they think anymore. There are people in decline. Them and all the other people too. We don't care. We don't care what the immigrants say either. They talking about us still now. Why come we not suffering and all of that? How you think that sounds to us? You're angry because we're not suffering when we've been suffering all this time. What they're doing to you, they've been doing to us. So take it on the chin like we did. But look, yeah, but I'm not gonna hold you long tonight. But you know, I just want to say, don't let people fool you with these other folks' version of woke, because it's not something we even sit around thinking about. It's just the way you are. They're the one made an issue out of being woke to keep them from learning the true history of what has happened to black people in this nation. But if they don't learn, who they learn, fine. If they don't, fine. Who cares? We don't have time to sit around and be concerned about what's in those people's minds, because many of them who do know are not going to admit it anyway. So they're not our problem. We have our own fish to fry. We don't have time to be sitting around here being concerned about what they think and how they think. That's for them to be concerned about, not us. Time we move on from that, trying to convince other people. We haven't convinced them in 400 years. What to make you think that we're going to convince them now? They don't want to be convinced. They're believing what they want to believe. When you say, so I had some people tell me, you come on every night and you dividing people. So the nation is divided because this man on here right now talking what has happened. No, the people who are the reason that I have to say this. It's the one who did the dividing. So we always looking at the people who tells what has happened and who analyze these things as being divisive. Well, why do I have to say these things? What about the people who caused it? They're the divisive people. There's always going to be division. Anytime there's different people, it's not going to be equal. See, I know y'all don't want to hear that. There will never be equal rights in reality. It can be equal rights on the books, but anytime you have something that's different, they're never going to be equal. It just depends on which one is the majority and in control. Except, now the majority rules except with black people. So other people can come around us and be the minority and rule us. It happens in Africa. It happens here. They're ruling our cities economically. We just run it politically. No one else will allow that. They know we will. Yes, I showed you the video of the Asian woman saying how when they come here and they try to get business loans, they're told that you can't open it in a white area because they don't want you making money off of them. So but we'll give you the loan, but you have to open it in a black area. But then she said, but the black people can't get the loans. But see, our officials need to let these lending institutions and banks know that if our people cannot get the loans, then no one else is coming here and open a business. We'll set up a system of our own to help our people run a business. Isn't that what TIP supposed to be for? Are we part of the empowerment zone in this area? You see all that development, that BJC and all that development up there in the Swansea and all, that was supposed to be here. Our officials dropped the ball. All of that was supposed to be here. They dropped the ball. As usual. You let them people take all that development away from here. That's supposed to be here. They were the empowerment zone, but they got the benefits of it. And what kind of sense does that make? Only black people will put up with something like that. These other people won't. You think we could go in their neighborhoods and start businesses? make money off them and bring the money back to our area? No, we can't. They're not going to allow it. Try to go in an Asian neighborhood and open a soul food restaurant. See what happens. They're not going to allow it. Neither will the Arabs. Now the Indians are coming in. They wouldn't allow it either. Those people can't stand you. They're just here to make money off of you. And the best thing we do, we have to find a way to get them out of here and put our people in these businesses. That's right. Put our people there. They don't. You see, everywhere we go, they run. Because then you take like, well, they knew East St. Louis was becoming a depressed area. Anytime you see the other people leave out of an area and leave it to us, it's not because of white flight. The flight is because they know that the area is in decline. They allow many of you to go up to Belleville. That's a problem somewhere. That's a declination coming to Belleville. And they wouldn't allow a lot of you up there. I know Section 8 did it, but they allow you to buy a lot of houses up there. And if they allow you to do that, there's a problem coming somewhere. Because you know what? They don't give up something that's valuable. They'll burn it down before they give it up. And see, the depressed, a town like East St. Louis and many of these other depressed black towns, we're still running it. When theirs get in this shape, they run off and leave it. It becomes a ghost town. I know many of you say, oh, the white, the people, those folks, they coming back. East St. Louis, they want it back. No, they don't. When have you known them to ever come back to an area that they left? They're moving out. They're not coming back this way. Always in a prime location. He's on the riverfront. You got riverfront all up and down the state of Illinois. It's right in front of the arch. Who cares? You can't build nothing there. No. On the East St. Louis, I'm talking about the area where I live right now. On the East St. Louis riverfront and all up and down there. What can you do? Those levees has the river so squeezed in. You can't build anything down there. You see how they've been talking about building down there for years? They can't build anything down there. That's just something they talk in politics to feed to you. Just ask their Army Corps engineers. They'll tell you you can't build anything down here. And I'm going to tell you, we've had some good mayors here. They did the best they could. But when you run in a depressed area, you're constantly trying to crawl out of a hole. And that's what it is. You see the cities that are doing okay, and one of us take over as mayor or the leader, they do a very good job. And you notice the cities where there's black mayors, crime usually go down. Chicago, Baltimore is having its lowest crime rate as far back as they can remember. But yet they're talking about putting troops in there because of the high crime. Chicago crime rate has dramatically been reduced. Dramatically. So all that stuff they're saying about bringing people in is just a lie. Now, Portland is interesting. I'll tell you why. It's very interesting. Well, first of all, Oregon, you know when Oregon was first chartered as a state and a territory, black people weren't allowed there. There was a time when black people weren't allowed in the state of Oregon. Look it up for yourself. Anything I say, you can look up for yourself. Portland, Oregon, Trump wants to send troops in there and show you how this Project 2025, what they're doing now, he don't care what your race is. Trump don't. Because Portland is a city of 655,000 people. 5% black, 10% others. The rest are white. I like to see how that play out. It would be the first city that he send the troops in that doesn't have a black mayor. So that would be interesting. So yeah, that'd be very interesting because I mean they don't care now. These people they just want to hurt people. They don't care what your race is. They do not care. They don't. You know that's why I say I can't tell black people what to do. Everyone has to have their own conviction on protesting and going out there getting involved. So those who want to do it, I say, if that's what you're going to do, go ahead. I can't stop you. I recommend against it. They've been trying to trigger us for quite a while to get us to come out there. Do you know those videos of those black women and black people running up in stores saying about the SNAP benefits? They're going to run up in there and take food. Those videos was AI and fake and made up. They were trying to put it in black people's heads to run up in stores to do that. So they have a reason to send in the National Guards and troops up in the cities. They're trying their best to make us engage with them. They're trying to trigger us. You look it up for yourself. Just about all of those videos, not just about all of them. All of them was AI. Made up videos trying to trigger you to do that stuff. They're now using AI as an ideological tool to put things into people's minds. You see it on social media and then you go, yeah, that's right, and then you're gonna go do it. They had one woman and her children all going there bringing stuff out, and you can see it was AI. It's easy to detect, especially me. I'm in this field. I know AI when I see it. I don't care how good they make it. The audio is always not quite right. There's always a bunch of telltale signs. They say it's getting better. It's gonna get so good you're not gonna know the difference. Believe me. You'll find out how to know the difference. I know I will. And you see, they did that to trigger you, but it didn't work. But you know who it did work on? Them folks. There was real videos of them going up in stores, taking stuff to them. The president said it was okay. There were some real ones of them. And no, they didn't trigger us, and let's not let them do so. But if there are people who want to go out there and get involved, black people, and we can't stop you. And to the person who keeps texting me saying, I'm a racist, all you do is talk about race all the time, that's right. Because all you do is act on race all the time. You stop acting on it, I'm always playing the race card. You people put it in the deck. It can't get played if you stop putting it in the deck. You invented it and you keep it in the deck. And I talk about it anytime I want to. Well, talking about it don't make me a racist because I'm not controlling anyone else. But if I can be a racist if I want to, you are. Sometimes I think black people are not racist enough. I'm not talking about we can't be racist as far as the system is concerned, controlling people. But we got to stop loving other people better than our own people. Or we don't even have to love each other. Stop liking other people better than we do our own people. Like I told you, black people are the most compassionate, kindest people on earth as a people, but can be diabolical individually, but it's the other way with them folks. They're nice and kind individual, but diabolical as a people. But even black people as a people, we show our compassion and kindness to others. We do it to others. Don't even do that to each other. When other people get homeless and doing bad, they come around us in our areas because they know they can get some help. What we call ours bums and then calling them drug addicts, and a lot of them just have mental issues. As a matter of fact, the majority of them are not drug addicts. They have mental issues. Another thing, do you realize that drug use among black people is at an all-time low? Some are hard drugs. It's at an all-time low. But not for them folks. But you don't hear about that, do you? Most black people just smoking weed, and that's been legalized in most areas. So, but see, you don't hear about the good stuff about us. You on social media, all the good stuff about black people. You don't see them folks on the feed. But let it be something negative, they're all over it, making it about race. They fight, they talk about the fight. Some of us fight, they talk about race. Because some of them put it up. A lot of those are fake posts. You know, I told you before, I know I'm jumped to another subject, but just so long I can talk about one thing. But look, by myself. Excuse me. Remember I told you before, I had never seen all those gang fights like that. I had never seen one in person before. As old as I am, and I've been around black people all my life. If it's going on so much, why come I never seen one in person? I just saw them on the internet. And I really don't even watch them. But I told you I saw one down here on 25th Street. Some women, they jumping on this big fat woman and knocked the wig off the end of the lot. Got some people at their cameras out filming it. You know what a person working the station told me? They went into the service station. About a week later, he told me, he said, when those women came inside, they were all friends. They was in there talking and laughing about it. How many likes they gonna get. It was fake. They faked that fight. And if you notice, most of them are. You know why? How can you hit someone 30 times in the face? No blood, no swelling, no nothing. They get up like nothing happened. Because they're not really hitting those people. And you can you look close enough, you can see it. So, but I think it's bad when we post that mess. Our ethnic image. Everyone has an ethnic image. Every race of people has an ethnic image. Ours is so bad, we don't need any help of someone putting fake stuff out there, making it even worse. Because if we're as bad as people say we are, there should be enough real ones out there. But there's not, so that's why they have to fake it. Because they troll us. We don't troll them. We don't even hardly know what conservatives talk about unless it just happened to come up and we see it somewhere because we don't troll conservatives. I know I don't. Like I told you, I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was until he became a Second Amendment sacrifice, or I wouldn't have known who he was until he was sacrificed. That just shows how much I care about what conservatives say. I want to learn about them what I have to learn. Yeah. And so that's why I say I talked about the woke thing because there's so many people talking about it and don't know what they're talking about. Like I say, for black people, it's a simple thing. Just being aware of our history and our people. For them, it's a big political ideology. The left or right. Do you know black people don't even care that much about the left and right? That's their thing, not ours. Liberalism and conservative. That's their thing. I'll tell you why. When you talk to black people, we're some very conservative people. And the way we talk about things, you see how conservative we talk? Very conservative. We side with the Democrats, which the white folks call the liberal side, because they're the ones who champion our rights more. We get more rights through them. Our rights have came from Democratic presidents and Congresses, not from Republican and conservatives. There's a lot of things we don't like, the liberals do. But we're not going to burn down the house because we don't like what's happening in another part of the house. We don't like what's happening in the attics. There's a lot of things they like that we black people don't go for. Like black people not all that interested in hearing about homosexuals all the time. Them lumping homosexuals and all that trans stuff in with our race. Most black people don't like that. But we're not going to jump over there to the conservatives because of one thing we don't like. When the liberal side is what is we have gotten the few rights we got it from that side. That's mostly why black people side with this side. They do a lot of things we don't like. Most black people I talk to, they don't see it openly because because well, I don't know why. I can't give them any excuses because I say it openly. A lot of black people are tired of hearing them when they mention about our rights, them putting homosexuals on the same level as being black. It's not. Their sexual preference and their behavior practices has nothing to do with our race. Now, if people of color want it lumped in with them, then they can tell their side that's their problem. I speak for black people. I know I can't say I speak for black people, but I speak about black people causes. I speak about black people, not for black people. Let me rephrase that. And the other people have to speak about their own people. We can't take on everybody's and they didn't take on ours. When we was under Jim Crow, they didn't say a word. No one did. No one talked about our freedom. They get out here and talk about Black Lives Matter and police brutality and that type of stuff because it can happen to them. When we was fighting for our very freedom, that was all us. And when somebody else do come and help us with things like white folks did with Black Lives Matter, we appreciate it. But we didn't beg anybody to come help us. They came on their own. And we'll never beg anymore. That's why I say these Asian and these people of color, begging Latinos and people of color and Asians and all them, talking about where the black people at, we where we want to be. We didn't ask where you was at when we needed help. So leave us alone. Why people just can't leave us alone? You know what? They know if they leave us alone, we're gonna prosper. I had one video I forgot to load. One white man to my black people they always need assistance. They need SNAP and welfare. Then they find out who's mostly getting SNAP and welfare, and it's much higher than people say it. And we'll perish without them. No, they would have perished without us. You see how the inventions we made. Did you see the I found where a lot of the slaves that was brought here, they brought innovation here. They were agriculturalists. They knew agriculture. That's why they were brought here. Many of them practiced the Hebrew, were Hebrews practiced the Hebrew religion. That's right. Many of them were Hebrews. They don't tell you that part though. Now, let me get to Nigeria. Trump talking about sending troops in Nigeria with all guns blazing. Nigeria, you all gonna put up with that? You gonna put up with that? Venezuela is getting their F-16s ready. You actually believe Trump care about black Christians in Nigeria? You actually believe that? Because that's a group doing that, not the government. You don't go into somebody. Who are they going to go in there after? Go and bomb a country because a group is doing something and it's not an act of government? You got groups that are doing things to the people. Should somebody come here and bomb the United States? What's happening is, well, because they said just as many Muslims is being harmed. And there's some atrocities going on all around the world. Israel is unaliving little kids over there in Gaza. You're going to do something about that? They persecute people in Saudi Arabia who you just made a pact with. I tell you what the difference is with Venezuela and Nigeria. I say Venezuela first because that's the first one you're talking about going into. And they got an aircraft carrier parked just outside of Venezuela, the biggest one in the world. Venezuela nationalized their oil. And now they're the chief oil producer down there in Central America. Nigeria just nationalized their oil. They're now doing their own refining, not sending it out. And now they're the biggest oil producer in that area. Coincidence? Anytime they went into these nations, it was never about no humanitarian crisis. They've been playing that same game for 400 years. They went to Iraq. Anytime, because they nationalized their oil, and Iraq was doing fine and started doing their own refining. Muammar Gaddafi, he was bringing his people out of poverty, and then they was refining their own oil. Down in the Congo, years ago when they nationalized their oil and started doing their own refining, they killed the president of Congo. Same thing happened in Iran. They put their puppet in. That's how they ran those countries. They put a puppet in. He go along with anything as long as they keep him rich. They did it in Iran. Iran used to be an ally of the United States. All those Mideastern states, Libya, Iraq, they used to have an air base in Libya, real Air Force base in Libya during World War II. But what happened, Iran nationalized their oil. They put their leader in jail, invaded that country and put their leader in jail. Where he passed away in jail. They put the Shah in. 27 years later, he was very repressive to the people. 27 years later, they overthrew him and took some hostages. That's where you had the Iran hostage crisis. The Shah had ordered $150 billion worth of military equipment from the United States. After he was overthrown, they didn't get the equipment. But Ronald Reagan had made a deal with Iran. If they ever come to a nuclear agreement with the United States, they'll get the $150 billion back. Well, they reached a nuclear agreement under Obama. Remember how they talk about the $150 billion in cash Obama sent over there on crates? That was Iran's money. And really no interest. You had their money for almost 40 years with no interest. But that's what they keep talking about. Oh, he gave them $150 billion cash. They didn't have a banking system with Iran because there was, really no diplomacy with them. So that's why they had to send cash. Remember how they say They talk about how what's his name? How can I remember? I forget his name. How Trump spending $300 million on the ballroom, which he said he's gonna pay for, but he's not. Taxpayers paying for. You know, if he's moving his mouth, he's lying. But look, then they said what Obama spent $356 million on a basketball court. And you actually believe it cost $356 million to build a basketball court? I can tell you exactly what happened. What Obama spent that $356 million on, he really didn't spend it. Congress spent it. It was a program started under the Bush administration, but it carried over to Obama's administration. The structure around the White House uh, need to be up had to be reconstructed. The structure was failing. They had to reinforce it. They had to reinforce the structure. That's what I was looking for. They had to reinforce the entire structure of the White House. It started under Bush and Obama. It was completed under Barack Obama. That's what that $356 million was for. But of course, they're going to taint it. But you can look these things up for yourself. They lie. And they moving their mouth, they're lying. MAGA move their mouth, they're lying. And stand up in your face and know you know they're lying. But they don't care if you and I know it, as long as their base believe it. That's all they care about. I know I'm on a different subject now. Like I said, it's just so much I can talk about one subject by myself. But look, I'm not gonna hold you long. But thanks for tuning in. And black folks stay woke, not the kind of woke that they got, but the kind we got. Okay? Thanks for tuning in. My name is Larry Duncan Allen, and this has been No More Water. Bye. Next time.